Hello. So I just left a coffee shop / antique shop called the Clapping Monkey. I uploaded a little short about it, and it's a locally owned place. It seems like the coffee shop collaborated with the person who owns the antique shop, and I'm like, what a brilliant idea. But I love that it's locally owned, not to be another one of those people, but it just feels good, and I could tell that I was interacting with the person who owns the place, and I don't know, there's just something special and fun about that. Asking me a bunch of questions about not a bunch, but just asking me about I ordered a miel, which if you don't know, it's a latte with honey and cinnamon. It's my favorite warm beverage. And I hope my car isn't going to be super annoying. This vehicle used to run super smooth, not to tangent too hard, but it made zero noise. We love it. It was made in 1998. Yep. And she's such a great vehicle. However, she makes a lot of noise now, so it's a new thing, and I should probably get it checked out. Anyway, it was nice to have someone inquire about my preferences around my beverage, and I don't know, there's just something special about that. But I was reading the information that they have out. I'm gonna speak up a little bit about the shop, and it's owned by a LGBTQ couple, I believe, and I've been thinking a lot about the LGBTQ community. I just went and saw Rent, the musical, for the first time, and Jonathan Larson is the person who created that. On Netflix, there's a story, I don't remember what it's called, but they made a movie about his life, and it's fantastic. If you like musicals, if you like good music, and you like a real but heart-wrenching story, check it out. But yeah, it was my first time seeing Rent, and I just thought I would create a video about what I've been thinking about around the LGBTQ community, homosexuality. I don't want to beat a horse here that's been getting beat up for years and years and years, but I don't know, I just have been thinking about it a lot recently. I grew up in a very conservative Christian home, and supporting LGBTQ wasn't a thing. And there's the argument that the areas in scripture, in Romans, where when you read it, it says in Romans 1, he's talking about sins, right? He's listing out some sins that he's seeing, or that we should be avoiding and not engaging in to the best of our human ability. And homosexuality is one of them that's listed there in the English. There's an argument that the Greek there is not accurate, that it actually is pedophilia. And I was talking with my husband about this after watching Rent, because if you don't know anything about Rent, I don't want to give anything away, but there's a lot of homosexuality and drag and all those things are the major part of the story, and yeah. So I just was thinking about it and talking with my husband, and I think I've always felt a lot of shame. I live in a culture and in a generation, most of the people that I spend time with are more liberal, and so I think the fact that I've teetered back and forth and been unsure about my thoughts about homosexuality I've felt a lot of shame on both ends. And I've kind of like said like, okay, well, I just don't know, so I'm just gonna like love people to the best of my ability and not hate people for their sexuality. And then I like go into this little like cycle about being like, why are we so focused on this anyway? This is so dumb, and like just kind of cycle through. But my husband made a really good point that like, and I'm not a scholar. I studied some religion in college, but I'm not going to pretend that I know a bunch of things, or that my husband is whatever, you know, like going to school doesn't mean you know everything, and whatever. I'm not claiming that I know. This is just something that he shared with me that I thought was valuable and interesting to think about. But he's like, people, like two guys or two girls loving each other and getting married was not a part of the culture when the literature that is referenced to, that homosexuality is referenced to, existed. Like, he was talking about how, I don't know if I'm going to get this 100% right, but certain men, I think in like higher positions, they would have like, and this is where the pedophilia thing comes in, they would have like young boys that they would take under their wing, and part of like that was that they would have sex with them. I'm like, this is but like two girls and two guys loving each other, wanting to be married, like it just wasn't a part of the culture. It wasn't a thing. So is it like something that we can even address really, or like know based on the content that we have? I don't know. Like I don't know if we can know that. I really don't. So I guess this is maybe like some encouragement to like be open-minded to the fact that like we live in a culture and a generation where like not every things are very different, and let's not be like boxed off to people's thoughts and opinions and the way that they decide to value the things they decide to value in their life, just because it like creates fear in us. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't want to live myself being afraid about this kind of thing, because I think it's possible that the reality is like we just don't know, and so maybe it doesn't need to be a big thing, and instead we can put more energy into focusing on like understanding ourselves better, our fears, the things that we've grown up with that have informed the way that we think and feel about people and choices. Right now I'm going to Affirming Church, Awaken Community in St. Paul, Minnesota, and it's the first time that I've gone to church, and it's beautiful because the people there have different opinions on homosexuality. Not everyone there is affirming, but they want to be a part of a community that has those conversations and talks about it. I'm like, this is what I want. This is what, like, you can have different opinions, you can disagree with me, you can disagree with whatever, but like, let's come together and like, let's talk about it. Let's be open-minded. Let's have open hearts and ask God to like remind us that we are secure and safe in Him. We don't need to like have full knowledge of truth, because it's just not going to happen, right? He has it. He gives us what we need. We're going to die, and we're going to realize that like we were really wrong about a lot of shit. And guess what? Jesus' blood covers that. It's covered. It's all good, guys. We can make mistakes. We can come to incorrect conclusions about things, about values, about life. And like, we can still be okay. God's blood still covers that. So, I don't know. I just wanted to mention it while I was thinking about it. I'm curious what you guys think. If you have any thoughts on this topic, if you're wrestling with it, if you've come to a firm conclusion about it, if you feel like you can be open enough to have open conversations without getting super defensive or lashing out at people, let me know what you think. Shalom, shalom.